Hello everyone, it's I, Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Issei Had Venom Part 2. Let's go and get into it. Currently, Issei Hyodo is in the dining room with his mom and his dad. They're all eating their dinner. Right when Issei's starting to eat his dinner, trying to avoid the stares of his mom and his dad looking at him in disappointment. His mom ends up saying, "I heard from the principal today that you were perving on the Kendo team by looking through a peephole in the locker room," while Issei ends up saying, "I didn't do it," while she says, "I don't believe you. I definitely don't believe you. You've never really shown any proof that you didn't do it, and you've never shown anything saying that you're not a pervert," while Issei says, "Everyone's a pervert. Men, women, animals, you name it, they're all perverts. What does that make my dad? Isn't he also a pervert? Didn't he screw you and make me? So that automatically makes him a pervert. Anyone who thinks about sex, even remotely, is a pervert. So everyone's a pervert. And also, I didn't do that. I was sitting at a lone tree that was near there. I was eating my lunch there because, well, if I ever went to the cafeteria, since everyone hates my guts because they think I'm a pervert, well, they know I'm a pervert, I'm not even gonna deny I am. But I never peeped on anyone. I never slapped someone's ass and say, I see, that's nice and jiggly like some jello. I never did that. That was Motohama, my two supposed friends, that did that and blamed it on me. Also, while I was eating, they were at the peephole, they ran away, and, well, the Kendo team, who knew that someone was watching them, walked out of the locker room and saw me sitting at a tree and decided to go ahead and beat me for it. They thought I looked through it, so they beat me very hard until I had bruises, which I do have bruises and scars from them beating me with the kendo sticks. As he pulls up his shirt and shows his bruises and his scars, while immediately his mom just says, "You probably just did it to yourself," being unempathetic to a situation, and says, "Sometimes I just wish that you never existed. I wish I never had a kid." While Issei just looks at her, his eyes widen, and tears start flowing out of his eyes, and he says, "Really? You wish I didn't exist?" he says very softly. And immediately, he runs all the way up the stairs. He ends up slamming the door behind him, opening the door and slamming it behind him and locking it, running to his bed and laying down, crying into his pillow. He cried that entire day and that night. Currently, Issei has just woken up in a very cold sweat, immediately thinking back on that memory that he just had a dream about, a nightmare about. Immediately thinks, why can't I just have someone that loves me or cares for me? Why can't I have a friend? Anything. As he cries into his hands. Immediately, he gets up out of bed after an hour of doing so and ends up thinking, "I gotta go ahead and go to school." Right when he gets out of bed, both of his feet land on the ground. He immediately thinks, "Oh no, I'm gonna fall," because he forgot his crutch. And he's immediately closing his eyes, bracing for impact, but that never arrives. He's just on both of his feet. He looks downwards, and his leg is perfectly fine. He was crippled before. How is he perfectly fine now? What happened? Is what he was thinking. He immediately notices that he's able to walk around perfectly normal now. He takes a few steps, and he just starts smiling for once. And he just starts laughing. I'm finally normal again." He starts having some tears of joy, and he just says, "I'm finally normal." And he just falls to the ground crying. He immediately gets up after a few minutes, and just immediately walks towards the restroom, getting a shower and getting his clothes changed, walking towards the mirror, splashing some water on his face to get him ready. He immediately looks into the mirror again, and then he sees that his face changed, and he sees this black liquid creature in front of him, directly in front of his face, where the mirror is. And he sees that it's coming out of the left side of his body. He immediately starts to scream and says, "What the fuck are you?" And just starts to try to punch at it, but it just dodges and says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Watch where you're punching, buddy." While Issei says, "What are you?" he says in a stutter. And immediately the creature says, "My name is Venom. We both are Venom." And Issei says, What do you mean Venom? And what do you mean we are?" While Venom just looks at him and says, "Well, you see, you were dying from this fried turkey that threw a spear made of lights through your chest. And I needed a host, because ever since I got to this planet, every host that I've tried to bond with has died when I tried to bond with them. You, however, did not die when I bonded with you. I went directly into the hole that was in your chest and started to fill and repair your body, bonding with your blood and your DNA. So it's no longer you, it's we." Immediately, Issei just looks at him and says, "Could you please just leave?" While Venom says, "I cannot leave. I'm inside of you." While Issei says, you could have phrased that a little differently. While Venom says, "What's wrong with me saying I'm inside of you?" While Issei just says, "You know what, never mind. Just please don't annoy me or do anything that would just cause me to be annoyed or anything that would cause you to be exposed. I already get enough looks as it is for just being a pervert or just being myself. People already hate me enough as it is. My own parents hate me. Everyone does. And honestly, I just don't want another reason for them to. After all, the reason they hate me isn't even because of me. It's because of my two supposed friends. So could you just go ahead and, disappear? I've got to go to school." Venom goes into his body. Before going into his body, he says, "I am also a loser." While Issei says, "I'm not a loser." While Venom says, "Yes, you are. And I am too. And to be honest, you're my perfect match. And I want to be your friend." While Issei looks at him and says, "You know what? Sure, might as well. Also, you actually look pretty cool," he says, as he's not freaking out anymore and looking directly at him. He says, "You do look a little terrifying, though." While Venom says, "Why, thank you. I take that as a compliment." While Issei says, "I'm going to go ahead and go get something to eat from downstairs." While walking downstairs, Venom says in his head, as he goes inside of Issei's body, "Can we have some pancreas?" While Issei ends up saying in his head, Hold up. You didn't say pancreas, did you?" And he says, "Are you more of a brain type of guy?" While Issei says, "I don't eat that stuff," in his head. He's talking to Venom in his head. And he's saying, "I don't eat that stuff. I eat human food." While Venom says, "I eat human food too. I eat humans and their food." While Issei ended up saying in his head, "No, I don't. We don't do. I don't do that. We don't do that. Okay, you can do that maybe to the bad guys. You know what? If I give you permission, you can do it." While Venom says, "I don't like this arrangement." And Issei says, "Well, too bad. I'm in charge." While Venom says, "Oh, really?" And he just comes out of his body and starts headbutting him while they're having a little fight. 5 minutes later, he finally walks down the stairs and looks and sees his mom made him breakfast. He walks up towards it, immediately picks up the breakfast, and takes it towards the trash and just throws it away. While his mom's looking at him as if he's stupid, and she says, "Why did you throw away my breakfast I made for you?" While Issei says, "Why would I have breakfast that was made by a complete stranger? After all, many times you've made it completely obvious that you don't love me. Neither of you do. You don't see me as your son, and I don't see you as my parents. So I'll just go ahead and eat at school. See you. See you later, strangers." As he walks towards the door and opens it and closes it behind him. And his mom just looks towards his dad, and they both just start crying. His mom says, "I took it too far that one time, didn't I? And I didn't believe him before either. I really regret it." While his dad says, "Maybe we can just apologize when he gets back. I mean, he's always been a kind-hearted young man. After all, he's our son." While Issei's mom says, I don't know about that anymore. After all, he said that we're not his parents anymore, and honestly, I don't think we deserve to be, after what we said. POV change. Issei is currently walking all the way to school, while Venom's talking in his mind. Can you get me a pancreas? While Issei screams his head, I told you for the last time, school does not serve pancreases, brains, or asparaguses. While Venom says, oh, what do they serve? While Issei says, you know what, how about this? I buy you a chocolate bar. While Venom says, what is a chocolate bar? Immediately he says, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go to the school, and we're going to go in the cafeteria for breakfast. I'll buy you a chocolate bar, and you can eat it, okay? And after you eat that chocolate bar, I don't want to hear another peep from you, okay? And Venom says, if I find it good, I will not speak. And immediately Issei says, all right, good, Venom. While I end up saying this, while Venom says, I'm not a dog. While Issei says, oh, you know what a dog is? While Venom says, yes, a dog is you. While Issei says, I'm not a dog, while they're just walking, and everyone's looking at him because he just screamed out, I'm not a dog. And everyone that's looking at him ends up getting a glare from him and says, shut the fuck up. Because they're all muttering about how he no longer needs an actual crutches to get to school. And Issei ends up saying, I ended up getting surgery, just so you know. And all of you can go fuck yourselves. As he looks at all the people muttering. And he says, you know what? How about this? You guys somehow manage to clone yourself and go ahead and fuck yourself in the ass. And I'll upload it to go ahead and upload it for you. You'll get millions of views for that. As he says this, all of them look at him. And he just starts pushing people out of his way and starts shoving them while walking towards the school building. Right when he walks past the gate, walks into the school building, and he feels a burning into his chest. And he says, as he starts falling to the ground, immediately thinking, what's happening? While Venom says, I have noticed in your body that there's these pieces of, I don't know what they are, but they're in your body and they're trying to change you. I am currently trying to push them out. You might experience some pain. While Issei starts screaming and he's on the ground and everyone's looking at him thinking about what's happening. And immediately, one piece of a chess piece, a pawn, pops out of his chest while he's on the ground, currently face down on the ground, not letting anyone see what's happening. As one actual pawn piece falls to the ground, another one falls to the ground, and he feels as if his very soul itself is leaving his body, while Venom is saying, I'm healing the damage that's happening from doing this, but someone apparently put these inside of you and you would have turned into some type of other creature. While all of them start to slowly and excruciatingly, after 2 hours of screaming his head off. Internally, after his first scream, he just stopped screaming, and he's just on the ground, and everyone just started ignoring him. So, immediately, as all these pawn pieces fell out, he saw 8 of them. He picked them up, and saw blood all over them. The blood that was coming out of his chest, from these little holes that these pieces made, coming out, immediately started to fill with black liquid going over it and starting to heal. Immediately, Issei screams his mind, you can heal? While Venom says, I thought I told you I can heal you. While Issei says, what else can you do in his head? He says, I can make weapons. I can also eat people. And immediately Issei says, what can you do besides eat people? He says, I can do many things. I can make them incredibly strong. I can also appear over you like a suit. And immediately Issei says, okay. So what is your weakness? As he gets up off the ground and starts walking into the school building, going to the cafeteria, still there for breakfast. Immediately going through the line, getting his breakfast, and talking to Venom a little bit. As Venom tells him all the things he can and can't do, and his weaknesses. Immediately, Issei gets a chocolate bar. He buys 3 chocolate bars, and just walks all the way towards the lone tree outside the school building. Right when he walks up towards it, he sits down, and he immediately says in his mind, hey Venom, here's a chocolate bar, as he unwraps one, and he puts it right beside him, and Venom pops out beside him, and just bites in the chocolate bar, and he says, his eyes just start sparkling, they have sparkles in them, he says, Venom like chocolate. And he starts eating the chocolate bar very quickly, and he starts eating the wrapper. And immediately Venom starts choking on the wrapper. He says, Venom does not like wrapper. And immediately Issei says, wait, if you eat, whenever you eat food, does it count as me also eating it? While Venom says, yes, it does. Whatever you eat, I taste. And whatever I eat, you taste. While immediately Issei's like, that's why I can taste the wrapper. You nasty fucker, he says, while Venom says, it was my first time. While Issei says, your first time eating a chocolate bar, why did you eat the wrapper? And he says, I didn't know that they weren't edible. Don't start with me, Issei. While he says, Venom, you're a different kind of special, aren't you? And Venom says, maybe. While he says, pass me another chocolate bar. And Issei just like unwraps a chocolate bar. He just hands him the chocolate bar. Just this time makes sure the wrapper's off. And Venom just starts eating the chocolate, while Issei ends up seeing that's on his breakfast plate that there's toast, there's orange juice, and there's also cereal and milk. So immediately he starts eating the cereal, and then he has a sick idea. He says, I wonder, what would this French toast taste with this orange juice? He dips the French toast into the orange juice, and he puts it towards his mouth while Venom just looks horrified and says, I don't like what that looks like. Could you not eat it? While Issei says, I'm a man of mysteries. I'm gonna take this mystery and I'm gonna eat it. And he just eats the actual French toast. As soon as he bites into it, his eyes just go blank. In his mind, he says, I regret everything. He starts throwing up while Venom just starts literally having little hands pop out of the side of his face, and he starts wiping his tongue. He says, I can taste it in my mouth. And immediately Issei just starts like rubbing his tongue also. He's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and eat the cereal to get this out. He starts eating the cereal, and thanks to the orange juice, it tastes weird. As soon as he starts finishing his food and immediately throws it away, Venom speaks in his mind and he says, honestly, Issei, please never do that again. While Issei says, I make no promises. While Venom shudders on the inside of Issei. Immediately, Issei goes to his classes, and everything's normal until he goes to his last class. When he goes into his last class, and he sits down, immediately looks around, and sees that, Koniko is staring directly at him, and he doesn't know why. As soon as the class ends, after consistent glances of Koniko, and every time that he looks backwards, she just looks away, and this happened the entire period. And Issei was getting fed up with it. So he immediately gets up. He literally walks towards the door right when the bell rings, opens it very quickly, and starts running down the hallway while Koniko's chasing after him. And Issei just says, hey, Venom, how fast can we go now? While Venom says, I'll put some more strength into your leg. While some black liquid appears under the pant's leg, increasing his leg strength, making him go faster. He starts running all the way out of the kill high, while Koniko's still chasing after him, not really gaining up on him, and wondering how he is so fast for a human. Immediately, Issei notices when he looks behind him that Koniko's like struggling to catch up to him, but she's slowly starting to catch up to him as she starts sprinting faster. Issei immediately throws a chocolate bar and says, go fetch! While he throws it, she immediately just runs towards the chocolate bar that was thrown opposite of Issei and just starts chasing after that instead of Issei. Immediately seeing a cat swipe the chocolate bar, and she starts chasing the cat that took the chocolate bar. While Issei runs all the way home and just goes up to his room and just goes to sleep. And that's What If Issei Had Venom Part 2. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you like this and you want it to continue, you've got to reach up to 1,000 views. That's for any of my videos. If they want another part, they have to have 1,000 views. I know it's kind of a high standard, but it's my standard. Alright, I hope you all enjoy, and have a wonderful day.